Hello, pictures for sale in Malta. This is May 2023. This picture is a beautiful oval. There are different proportions of oval. This one, it has an oval stretcher, meaning the canvas and the stretcher were made to be oval from the very beginning, and it's hard to make an oval stretcher, really hard. Not only the shape, but they twist, the joinery twists. And sometimes you will find an oval picture where the actual canvas behind it is rectangular. So behind here sometimes you will see canvas all the way to the edge. On this occasion there is a stretcher, so it's expensive. So it's a good, if you see an oval stretcher, it's a good sign that you've got a good picture. So we know it's a good picture anyway, because it looks fantastic, but we know from the stretcher it's good. So this picture was about 1790, and it's not a cleric or nobility or military or royalty, because there's no badges or stars or sashes or regalia or epaulets or anything like that. It's a blank person. So I would suggest it's a landowner, farmer, a clinician, a lawyer, a shipper, or a banker, or a scholar, that sort of thing. And there was a time when those sort of people started to be painted. And before that time, they weren't painted really. It was just the nobility and the royalty and the lords and ladies and the religious people and the saints. So that's a really, really interesting picture. Whether it's American, French or English, I don't know, because they all wore the same clothing in that era. But looking at the face, looking at the fact it has a French frame, I would suggest it's probably French or English. You have this very interesting coat with characteristic buttons. Lovely scarf, most likely a wig, possibly not a wig, but probably a wig. This frame is not the original frame. This frame is from 1820 to 1840. It's French. It's laurel. It has an ethemion. It's empire style, sort of. You have ribbon work, which is pretty French, but it's not plaster work, it's carved wood. And the metal on this gold frame, the gilding, is extremely good. I've seen very few things with as much gold leaf on as that, in terms of the thickness of the gold leaf. Very few indeed. Next one, this is a lovely picture. I'll try and tell you why. Condition is good. Subject is interesting. The canvas is flat. It has signs of age, but the signs of age are good signs of age. It's not crummy looking, flaking, or have a sort of distressed crumbling finish. It is intact, but it's an old canvas, you can tell. And I would date this at 1780, 1790. An old frame as well, with panels of flowers in sgraffito, meaning 3D, and punchwork. An iron hook, wrought iron. So you have an old picture, you have an old frame, you have the lovely hanging hook. If you have a hanging hook like that, the picture can be hung flat on the wall. If you have a picture with screws in and a wire, it will often hang off the wall. So I like this very much. The subject is St. Augustine, and people will assume he was hanging around in Europe somewhere, but he wasn't. He was a bishop in Africa, and he is looking to heaven for guidance. He's getting light from heaven. He has his hand out. He's taking advice. He's writing it down with a quill and ink in his book, and he is Augustine, writing his suggestions for his followers. He has a fine outfit, a cross, a cope, C-O-P-E, a picture of the Madonna and clouds in a little sort of cartouche. Really good picture. Even that, just that bit there is really good. It's a religious picture. It's an old picture. Boring in a way, but very interesting in another way. Next one. Maltese picture, this one. 1770, maybe a bit earlier. A frame from the 50s. Replacement frame. You have cherubs, because they have 2 wings. If they had 4 wings, they'd be seraphim. You have a dove of peace. You have 12 stars. Rather like the European Union stars, and it's rather strange. You have a lily, you have a brooch, you have a ribbon, I can't read it, Latin on it. You have the baby Jesus, you have the Virgin Mary, the Madonna, and you have a serpent, a snake, you have a crescent, And the idea is she's sitting, those are her knees, she's sitting and standing on evil. It's not a matter of killing evil or defeating evil. The idea is she's suppressing it, keeping it in check, because obviously evil is something that's always there. So quite a tall, wide picture, good colours, not gloomy. The cherubs are happy, nice skin colours, and the cherubs are part of the picture. Sometimes you get them in the corner, looking inwards, like gargoyles, and they don't look very nice. That's a good picture. There's another one here. This picture is slightly confusing because it has a flower garland. I think the garland really is a Dutch thing. Tulips, for example. But you'll find these in Peru, you'll find them in South America, and you'll find them in Rome because the Dutch influence travelled. And I would think that picture is 1700 or something like that, maybe a bit later. And what I'm confused about is that if it's a Virgin Mary, it shouldn't necessarily be covered in pearls and a brooch and another brooch. It could be the Virgin Mary, but I think with all that decoration on the cloak, I'm not sure. Very pale skin, that's a good early sign, beautiful eyes, very well painted, good condition. Doesn't need any work done to it. An old frame. Is it the original frame? Probably not, but the frame is probably 200 years old itself. Wide, large, colourful, spectacular. These pictures can go straight into your home and don't need any work doing to them. And the idea is that the canvases are in good condition and aren't flappy and sagging, and that is a sort of an after painting. This is a sort of an after painting. This is sort of an after painting. They're based on earlier works by other artists, so they're not signed as such or necessarily done by a known individual, but they are decoratively superb pictures. These are fantastic pictures. These are all in Malta. Thanks for having a look.